In response to the growing number of natural disasters, 3 organizations have joined forces to assist governments in rebuilding homes, communities, and people's lives. The impacts of a natural disaster and a roadmap to recovery are brought together in one comprehensive report, Post-Disaster Needs Assessment, or PDNA.
The fact that you have a mechanism which not only brings the international community together, but it also provides a mechanism for the government to convene and to bring the different stakeholders, national and international, together.
From the economic and the human impacts, we put together a recovery framework based on the needs, both in terms of replacing the damaged infrastructure and all of the things that are lost. And then this recovery framework becomes a vehicle through which all of the international and government efforts can be aligned to try to support the recovery in the most organized way possible.
Everyone was brought together under the post-disaster needs assessment. This is a wonderful tool for helping countries start planning for their recovery when governments are in shock, or indeed in the case of Haiti when there isn't much of a government left.
If you talk about the partnership between the 3 organizations, it's very important in the sense that we offer different kind of expertise, different kind of experience, we have different strong points, and if we bring them together we can get to the best possible result.
PDNA was undertaken for the first time in Moldova. It is a internationally accepted methodology which gives credibility to the document.
Because of PDNA, we could build up trust among the development partners. I believe they mobilized more resources.
We don't have enough comparable data over time and over geographical areas that will tell us what is the link between a certain type of event and a certain cost. Does an earthquake like the one we had in Haiti always cause that kind of damage? No, because there are underlying causes and vulnerabilities behind it.
A post-disaster needs assessment done properly will look at every layer of the community and bring to surface the needs of the most vulnerable, often the ones who are extremely poor, women, children, the elderly, disabled.
A good PDNA is the relationship between the means and the end. And the end for us is nothing but the reduction of poverty. The end for us is managing risk. How can we reach the end if we don't have the means? The government must be engaged since the beginning. In the Haitian experience, even the terms of reference were written by the Haitian government.
Because at the end of the day, they are ultimately held accountable and responsible, and they are there to stay.
How do we bring that balance in terms of not overwhelming already a low capacity government with a very large number of teams?
Water Supply, Ministry of Environment, Energy, Ministry of Economy. So you have a lot of actors which have separate competencies, and all these actions have to be coordinated.
We need to bring everybody together. There are many actors now in the world that contribute to post-disaster recovery and planning.
Well, no single organization can do this on their own, and especially we can't have several parallel processes going on.
Continue building capacity before the disaster. We need to basically mainstream the post-disaster needs assessment processes in the government's departments of planning and statistics.
There is no need to wait until a disaster happens to start putting in place all of the measures that are needed for a response, including the assessment process.
Have baseline information and data available, sex and age disaggregated, so that when a disaster happens, you're not starting from zero.
And linking those that produce economic data to those that gather social data, to those that have the scientific data, for example, the meteorological offices or the geological institutes, and the ones that do social research and look at social vulnerabilities.
If you combine that technical capacity development in each country with a kind of a South-South support system and learning process, it could be very powerful.
We have trained people at both central level and also district level. And after having done that, we can then use some of those trained for the next assessment, even in other countries.
The benefit of having an evidence-based set of recovery priorities for the countries themselves as a means of prioritizing the measures that they implement.
You may have a grand recovery and reconstruction plan, you may get the funding as well from the donors, but is this all actually helping the people on the ground? How is it really helping the affected families to rebuild their lives and livelihoods?
Providing the relief efforts quickly to the needy, and also providing shelter to the displaced population.
Drafting an action plan which will be approved by government decision, and the line ministries will be assigned with concrete tasks and timelines in order to implement all the recommendations and the findings of the PDNA, but also longer-term needs which have been discovered.
Build back better in communities which did not have, say, water supply and sanitation before the disaster. When you're building back better, should you provide for it?
So when the disaster comes, it isn't enough just to build back to what the state was beforehand, because that state was a pretty low level. We really need to build back better.
In order to have more sustainable results, you have to build on the document.
Is there a forward-looking thinking that we can bring while establishing the needs during the rebuilding phase?
The World Bank and the UN have mapped the world in terms of disaster risks, and as a result, it's very well known now which countries are most disaster prone.
Establishing minimum standards that are acceptable. So when you build back, at least it should be resilient to disasters.
There are other plans available here. It could be a CAS, could be an UNDAF, or kind of strategies for development. Make sure that they link into the PDNA, because they together form the recovery plan.
It's absolutely critical that the PDNAs are well aware, going into the process, the assessments of what are the existing national development priorities and needs.
The need to have the international support continue through that entire process, not just the PDNA and now we're done and over to you, but to help with the technical assistance and the financial assistance to see the entire thing through.
On 26th May morning, I went to the affected area. I see the frightened people. I could see the anxiety in their face. I could see their concern. They are concerned that if they will be able to go back home, they will be able to make next meal for their children. Then I thought I saw the ray of hope. I could see their eyes, also some smile. And I can see that the resilience they have acquired over generation, that's their strength. We just help them and government do their best.